rebel force has penetrated the shield and landed on Endor.
This is where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1!
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
That's right. It's been months in the making. Well, really like weeks in the making, but the hype is huge for the big Duel of the Fates coming up on the program here. That's right. If you wanted to see what would happen when FJ DeSanto, known as the Potty-Mouthed Prophet, dubbed so by the challenged Blake of Blake's Take from the RFR after shows, the Pint-Sized Padawan. If you want to know what happens when the two get in the squared circle of Star Wars trivia together, you're going to find out here this week on Rebel Force Radio. As I say, it's been weeks in the making. It had to come down to this. It was inevitable. And that's coming up a little bit later on in the program. We've got some business to take care of. We also have some Acolyte news to talk to you all about, and some Star Wars and pop culture news. Man, oh man. It is news. I mean, it's a crossover when you think about it, because the big South Park Panderverse special that is now available on Paramount Plus. I don't think it started on Paramount Plus. People were asking me at the day job this week where they can go to watch this, and why do they assume that I know? Do I host a South Park podcast? No, I host a Star Wars podcast, and of course that was a big subject. Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm, Disney, all of it. We'll have some highlights from that, because it's news and it's pop culture, and it's a lot of fun. So we'll be taking a look at that, but certainly want to get to the big event, the main event. But before that, introductions in order. If you're new to the program, my name is Jason, and with me, as always, my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Yes. Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. I'm rubbing my hands together in anticipation of the big showdown that's going to happen here on Rebel Force Radio. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. Kid Blake versus FJ. The Pint-Sized Padawan versus the Potty-Mouthed Prophet. It's all come together, and it's going to happen here on Rebel Force Radio. So that is something we've been looking forward to. I know that on DraftKings, the odds are definitely in Blake's favor, surprisingly.
Really?
Yes. But I think there have been a last-minute push by FJ supporters because the odds have certainly tightened up. So I don't know what to expect. I think it's going to be a very even race to the end.
Yeah.
I mean, we're dealing with a couple of superstars from different generations, yes, but Star Wars fans to the core. And so this should be a very entertaining and fun time. And we're going to have help. Kevin Liell from Norse Legion will be joining us to oversee and moderate the entire trivia contest, because he has a lot of experience doing that kind of thing at various pop culture conventions, and he's been doing that for a long time. So he knows how to handle these kind of things.
It's hard to think about a subject matter, a line of study, something that could unify the generations like this into a trivia contest. There's not many topics that you could pit an 11-year-old or a 12-year-old against a 50-year-old. But Star Wars does it. It unites the generations like nothing else, I think.
Yeah. I mean, maybe outside of sports, certain teams, superfans get to know the history of their favorite teams, etc.
Do you find, though, that the younger generation is interested, say, as you were growing up in the 30, 40, 50-year history of their favorite sports team? It seems like it's almost like it's so in the moment right now, because it's all part of celebrity culture and in the now.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I can just only speak for myself. As a kid growing up, I was fascinated with the history of baseball at the very least, and other sports too, but that was my specialty. And I always enjoyed reading that. My dad was a big fan, and we went to Cooperstown together to go to the Baseball Hall of Fame back in 1988. Little father-son road trip. Boy, that was a hoot. That was a good time. And, so that's why I draw that connection. But you're right. I don't know about younger fans today if they value the history of a sport like baseball like I did as a kid growing up.
Well, and there's probably listeners right now that are saying, hey, guys, there are some younger Star Wars fans that don't seem to be necessarily interested in the history or perhaps the history in terms of the original films. There's thought that they're dated, that the Star Wars that they grow up with is the superior Star Wars. And I guess the same could be said for us as well. But I do think it's important to know the history of whatever it is that you are a fanatic of or a big fan of, because if you just judge it all based on the here and now, I think you're missing so much of the bigger picture.
Well, I think that the original trilogy for Star Wars, you see it in the marketing still today. It appears the marketing is still quite focused on the original trilogy characters, even in the post-sequel trilogy generation, or even in the post-streaming series era. We're still seeing an abundance of marketing featuring the original trilogy. Why is that? Because it's timeless, and because I think younger fans do revere it. Maybe not like we do, but they know it's a very important piece of the pie, and it gets consumed by the younger generation. And I think we'll see a prime example of that tonight with Kid Blake as he has his showdown with FJ.
Blake is a well-studied and well-rounded Star Wars fan, that's for sure. But I go back to thinking about when The Force Awakens was coming out, and even in between Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, and the marketing for even things that weren't necessarily specific to The Force Awakens, the marketing really leaned in on those characters. Sure. And I remember us feeling, whoa, where's Luke Skywalker here? Where's Han Solo? So there was definitely an attempt to sort of, as we say, put over the newer characters. But there was a lot of reason for that. They were trying to put over them for, to take on a whole new generation, a whole new trilogy of films.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. And even looking back at prequel era marketing and things, I have a few pieces in my collection from Attack of the Clones that feature Darth Vader big and bold. And he's nowhere to be seen in that film. The shadow of the future always lingered over the entire prequel trilogy because it essentially is the origin story of Darth Vader.
Right. Well, it's funny that this has come up because it actually is a nice sort of dovetail into our listener mail this week.
Yes. You must contact me.
Play back the entire message.
What message?
Message after the message.
The Emperor commands you to make contact with him. It's a trick. Send no reply.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Brian calling from the edge of the galaxy, Apex, North Carolina. Man, we just got back from a family trip a week ago to the entire Disney World complex in Florida. Top notch, stunning as always. Hit all the parks, including Hollywood Studios and, of course, Galaxy's Edge. And I walked up with my wife and my two daughters and essentially sprinted ahead for my first trip into Galaxy's Edge and was just absolutely blown away. It is stunning in there. It's like it's kind of like walking into Mos Eisley or something. It's amazing. And to see the Falcon and to just experience all of it, to go to Oga's Cantina, incredible. The first character we saw as we turned around the corner, Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, Baby Yoda right there in front of us. My girls each had little Baby Yoda T-shirts on. We got to go right to him and talk to him and take a picture with him. It was amazing. Rey came out like 2 minutes later. And, of course, we hit Rise of Resistance. What a ride. I mean, life-changing moment. Absolutely incredible. You walk through those sort of hangar doors, and there's just 100 stormtroopers staring at you. Phenomenal. And then to fly the Millennium Falcon with my wife playing the role of Chewie, I yelled, "Punch it!" She says, "I don't know how to do that." It was great. Girls were on the guns. We had just an amazing time doing that. It was an awesome experience. My only hang-up was, and I suppose that it makes a lot of sense in this Disney era of Star Wars, is there really is very little OT reference. There's no Luke, there's no Leia, and there's no Han outside of a few references during that Smuggler's Run game. So that was my only kind of hang-up from it, but it was just an absolutely incredible experience. Man, I could have used a little Luke Skywalker in my life, but then again, after what stinking Ryan Johnson did to him, it's all good. Great experience, guys. Star Wars fans, if you haven't been, either one, Florida, California, you got to get out there, check out Galaxy's Edge. It is a bucket list must for any Star Wars fans. Grateful for the show, guys. May the Force be with you always.
All right, thanks, Brian. That's great. Of course, this is our quota of, we have to have, apparently, according to some listeners of Rebel Force Radio, one anti-Ryan Johnson comment per episode. I thought, we might get through one episode, but leave it to Brian. No, Brian.
As long as it's funny, as long as it gives us a chuckle, it's fine. And they all make sense, too. I mean, it's every comment I've ever heard is steeped in hardcore logic. So you're not going to get any arguments from us.
But it sounds like Brian had a great time at Galaxy's Edge. I, too, had a great time. But, Jim, as we were talking about earlier about, the Star Wars characters, who's being put over, who's being talked about, and who the company is putting out there, clearly when Galaxy's Edge opened, it was all about the sequel trilogy. There you had your Rey, you had your Kylo Ren, and Chewie. And you could say, well, Chewie's original trilogy, yes, Chewie is, but he also spans the whole saga. He shows up at the end of the prequel trilogy and carries on through the sequels. So he's a bridge character, much like the droids. But what Brian is talking about is, hey, man, I'm an OT kind of guy. I go to Galaxy's Edge. Can I get me a Leia? Can I get me a Luke? Can I get a Han? Clearly Mando showing up with Grogu. That's a big crowd pleaser. But do you think, is there room at Galaxy's Edge for some original trilogy feels?
Yeah. Well, I think absolutely there are. But I mean, the core mission of this entire park was to put you in the Star Wars universe and surround you in the environment and envelop you in that, so you could have, say, random adventures. However, they did place it firmly in the sequel trilogy era. So we thought, until Mando and Baby Yoda showed up. What the park essentially is the culmination of the Disney era of Star Wars wrapped up in an amusement park. And that's what it is. And I think there is room for a Darth Vader to walk through there, and I don't believe it needs to be so conceptual that way. Because they've painted themselves into a corner. The only concept that really should be on display here is Star Wars itself. It doesn't need to be a particular era. It doesn't need to be a particular story. It needs to be Star Wars, because that's what people want when they walk into the park. And I'm not going to sit here and say Galaxy's Edge isn't Star Wars, because, my God, when I walked in there, my head exploded. I couldn't believe it. It's so great. But I would like to see some of those original trilogy characters and elements a little more present. But look around. You have the Millennium Falcon. R2-D2 rolled up to me one day. Chewbacca is there. So there is, I think, enough representation to make it appear to be kind of balanced. It's just placing it in a certain era paints the creatives into a corner, I think, and limits the maximum potential of the park itself. However, original trilogy also is heavily represented just on the other side of the park at Star Tours. And you can go there and see a life-size AT-AT. It's all things original trilogy and prequel trilogy. It spans the entire saga. And you can walk into a gift shop where there's plenty of Star Wars action figures featuring Luke, Han, Leia, Darth Vader, Chewie, and the droids. So I think they're satisfying all the demographics of Star Wars fans at Galaxy's Edge and at the Disney parks right now. But can it be better? Yeah, I think it can be better if they just loosen up their self-imposed restrictions that were placed on the actual theme of the theme park. You know, those restrictions, where they come from? Do they come from Disney? They come from Lucasfilm? Do they come from the Imagineers? Or is it some weird combination of all three? I think to create those artificial restrictions on what they can do to maximize the potential of the park ultimately cheats themselves and the fans. So yeah, I'd like to see more original trilogy stuff going on in Galaxy's Edge at the end of the day. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the costume characters are so much easier to do, the helmeted characters, than the human characters. So there's also that, you know, they've really done it nicely. I think at least when I was there and some of the photos that I've seen, videos, the actresses that they get to play Rey, I think they're pretty darn convincing.
Sure.
But boy, we haven't had 40-some years of living with the character of Rey. And Daisy Ridley hasn't soaked into popular culture and the zeitgeist like Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill.
No.
So I think having physical people going around dressed as the characters, I think there could be a cheese factor there that perhaps they're avoiding. I really do. So sometimes the answer isn't necessarily, it's not a nefarious reason, but maybe there's a very practical reason. It'd be very hard to live up. Look, they don't even want to recast these people in, billion-dollar films, let alone cast them at your local amusement park.
Right. Some 40-year-old dude rolls up on you with beard stubble and a shorty robe, and it's like, you're Luke Skywalker? I don't think so. Yeah. That would take me out of it. For sure.
Doubt.
And but the Rey characters they have walking around there, I mean, that comes off pretty well. And I think it comes off pretty well because, of course, the character Rey is not, as you just said, so soaked into the zeitgeist. So there's a little bit of flexibility there. I can believe that's Rey, even though I know it's not Daisy Ridley, but the representation is right on, almost Disney princess-like. And of course, all of that stuff is going to come into the forefront in the next few years as the new Rey movie gets marketed, and the Galaxy's Edge certainly will be part of that marketing. So the sequel trilogy era is not done with Galaxy's Edge yet, and that might be another reason why you want to keep it relatively locked into that era, because at the end of the day, this thing's a big promotional piece for what Disney is planning on putting into the theaters.
Right.
So there's all sort of ways to look at it. But, we can all have our own preferences as fans and say, well, I sure would like to see this or that or the other thing there in Galaxy's Edge. And you never know, you might stumble across a suggestion box at one of the parks and you can fill out your opinion and drop it in there or email it to them or whatever. Maybe sooner or later they'll bend when they realize the amount of greenbacks are slipping through their fingers by not having these characters out there. So
right.
Yeah, it all comes down to the bottom line, kids. Typically, it hasn't been so clear cut over the last, I'd say, 10 years. Sometimes some confusing factions start getting mixed into the stew outside of the bottom line. And I think South Park will address that, as we'll hear in the highlights later in this episode. But that's great to hear about somebody having a fresh visit to Galaxy's Edge. I don't think we've really talked to Jason too much about what he was really feeling and thinking the first time he walked into that park. Because, Jason, I get the opinion you were just nervous about motion rides and you wanted to get to the cantina and just stay there.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
That's
what
pretty
sort
much
of...
it.
How did you feel when, you saw the Falcon for the first time? I remember we were sitting there, we were eating lunch, and the Falcon was right there, and then R2 rolled up on us, and it was thrilling, I thought. I thought so too. I think it's a great palette to paint
whatever Star Wars experience you want to. I agree with you that they got so conceptual with it where they had to make it a specific planet with a specific name and a specific history and have comic book tie-ins and that sort of thing. And I think that is somewhat limiting. So I chose not to think about it being Batu or even really caring what the in-universe history of it was. I just was in, for me, the galaxy far, far away, and there's the Falcon, and there's R2-D2. So a lot of it is just sort of what sort of mindset you have when you come in. You know, like the great Yoda said, what's in there? Only what you take with you. And I took with me great memories of being a Star Wars fan my entire life. And that Millennium Falcon is worth the price of admission, that ride, and just seeing the Millennium Falcon out there. It's worth it all. It's worth the travel. It's worth the expense to get into the place. It's fantastic. And then everything else on top of that, truly, for me, is gravy. And yes, the cantina was awesome. The drinks were great. The company was even better. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I didn't bother bogging myself down in the in-universe history of where I was. I was just in Star Wars.
Yeah, that's really my approach to it as well. Did you hear that there's rumors that they're going to reskin the Star Wars Hotel, the Galactic Cruiser, whatever they call this, Galactic Star Cruiser? They're going to reskin that. The rumor is it's going to be a Marvel thing. They can't recycle it as Star Wars because then that will hurt their losses claim that they're making via insurance. It provides insurance payback and offers tax cuts by closing that thing down. So they're looking to maximize any sort of dollar they can squeeze out of it. But by doing that, they're waving the white flag, and if they then repurpose it as another Star Wars thing, you know, you don't. The insurance companies in the IRS will be like, "Hey, wait a second here. You said it didn't work, and you were claiming losses. Now you're doing it again." Yeah. So business doesn't work that way, and neither does death or taxes, and that's the category we're in right now when we talk about the Star Wars Hotel.
I think that this whole idea of immersive entertainment, whether it be exhibits, you know, like the Van Gogh exhibit that's been traveling across the country, the Disney art exhibit that's been going around, all the way from that to a Galaxy's Edge. And then you've got the other extreme, which is this: you check into this hotel for 48 hours and you're completely separated from reality, and you sort of have to play in this role play. I think people, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think that it's going to be that extreme on the conceptual side is going to be as successful as some people are banking on. I think it's going to sort of go the way of 3D movies. I just don't think that people want to make that big of a commitment. They want to go, they want to celebrate their fandom. If you want to actually lose yourself completely in a fictitious universe, I think that's really a niche group of people. I don't think everyday people that are taking their families and spending the kind of money that it costs to go to a place like Disney World or Disneyland are interested in something like that. I think it was just too much to ask of people. And maybe it's a case of letting the most die-hard people influence some of the decision making. I think people are simpler than that.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, not everyone wants to participate in Tony and Tina's wedding for 48 straight hours. Right. And that's, it was essentially,
that's right.
Living in a dinner theater. And so, but I do know a lot of people who took on the experience, and their faces melted. It was an incredible experience.
Jim, think about it. You walk into a theater and you're seeing a magic show, right? And the magician, after a few minutes, the magician looks around and he goes, "And I'm going to need some volunteers." Mm-hmm. And 90% of that audience goes, "Not me. Right. Don't look up. Don't look up. Don't make eye contact." 90. Now there's 10% that are going, oh, me. Yes. That's the 10% that want to go and choose and live their adventure in something like, I think, the Galactic Star Cruiser. And that's a finite number of people, I really think. But
yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Hey, I have some listener feedback here beyond voicemail, and I just want to talk about this because we've been having that conversation about how the term amblin has been overused to describe skeleton crew in such a way that it's like, yeah, amblin, it's an amblin thing. Like we're supposed to really understand exactly what that means. Just
it's an adjective now.
Being the regular people we are. I heard from Douglas Heder, loyal RFR listener Douglas Heder, and he is somebody who keeps in touch with me and has for a while. He's been listening to us podcasting on the Forcecast, and he has 4 kids. They all listen to RFR, and his kids, some of his kids are approaching adulthood, or they're all in high school, most of them. He has a history in video games. He's worked on Lego Star Wars, Lego Batman, Lego Dimensions. He's worked on so many other video games, Batman Arkham series, Call of Duty, Tony Hawk's Underground, a bunch of Marvel titles. And you might recognize his last name, Heder, because his brother is John Heder, a.k.a. Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, wow.
Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills.
That's great.
And Doug had worked with his brother as a film and TV producer, and even worked with Kyle Newman on a couple. Well, at least he went to Kyle's bachelor party, which was, Kyle, it was indoor skydiving.
Of course it was.
Yeah. So he heard us talking about the Amblin thing last week, and he wanted to weigh in on it a little bit. And I said, oh, wow, that's really interesting. Do you mind if I share this with our audience? He's like, not at all. Share away. So he says, concerning the term Amblin, we were listening to Jude Law do an interview on The Tonight Show, and he said, yeah, skeleton crews can be a very Amblin sort of thing. And we were just kind of laughing at how it's sort of absurd to assume that anyone just like instantly knows, hey, he's talking about Goonies or something. I don't know. I mean, for us in the know, it's pretty easy to figure out. But the term Amblin just being used, we thought it was funny the way it was being used as kind of like an adjective, when in reality it's the name of the studio that produced Goonies and a bunch of other movies in the 80s. Look at that. Right. It's Amblin is what it is.
Oh, that's so Amblin.
Yeah, you're being so Amblin right now. Chunk. But Doug says the term Amblin is actually a fairly common term used in the entertainment industry that writers and directors and other professionals use to describe exactly what Jude was describing, a story about kids in an adult world where the stakes are real and not dumbed down because they are kids. And he even says he and John used this term frequently when they were developing film and TV pitches in Hollywood back in the day. So I don't know if that was used as part of like the Napoleon Dynamite pitch. I don't see that being very Amblin, but it's kind of like Amblin in the Bizarro world where they're throwing stakes at people riding bicycles. And shut up.
I can see it fitting. I can see it fitting into that model a bit. Well, that's good to know. I mean, it is definitely an insider term as it's being used within the industry, and it's being used as sort of shorthand to pitch a certain genre. So I'm guessing, though, that when we look at the chicken or the egg, the Amblin Entertainment Company came about, and then all of the subsequent films it made, or many of them, established almost like a new genre, and that became sort of the shorthand, the name. It's very Amblin. I mean, Disney has been used over the it's 100 years now as a adjective. Oh, it's very Disney. You'll like this. It's very Disney. Or I've even heard people say, it's not Pixar, but it's very Pixar-like. Mm-hmm. So totally understood. But I do think, Jim, that the comments that we were making were fair, which is Jude was speaking a little inside baseball.
Okay.
For the average Joe or Jane.
Well, as Doug says, when he listened to Jude's interview, he felt it came across as pretty natural and not rehearsed as we thought, as we perceived it was.
Well, I thought he'd been coached. My read on that, it was that he had been coached, and that was part of the 30 word description that he was allowed to say or give to what's Skeleton Crew.
I believe that is the fact, because it doesn't really have to do with Jude like using sort of insider verbiage to describe something or anything like that. I think it's just he's really nervous about what he can and can't say. And somebody at Lucasfilm said, "Oh, you can say it's Amblin-like," and and so he's like, "Okay, Amblin-like, I got it. Okay, got it."
Yeah, because they do put the fear of God in you with these. I mean, Anthony Daniels has talked about it. Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, are just some of them that have been on record as saying how scary it is to go on these talk shows and dare say the wrong thing, or go on social media and say the wrong thing.
So I really do appreciate hearing Doug's perspective as a guy who has worked in the industry and sort of understands how pitches and descriptions work. And he also says, as 80s sensibility has become more of a selling point, something that audiences have been drawn to, like Stranger Things being a perfect example, he thinks that the whole Amblin way of describing a production has really began to catch on, and it's sort of snowballing a little bit. So, but for me, the main confusion comes from, you mentioned Disney, you mentioned Pixar. I think those two studios have a much broader pop cultural footprint than Amblin. It's like I have to look Amblin. Even last week I had to look up what movies did these guys do. It really just appears they should just say it's Goonies-like, because that's the movie they're talking about. Is Goonies. Yes, just say Goonies. Amblin. Why do we have to promote the whole studio? Let's just promote Goonies. It's going to be Goonies in space.
It's Goonies in space.
Goonies in space.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's time. What do you say? I think it's time to bring in our competitors here.
I'm hearing the main theme to Rocky in my. Oh wait, it just turned to Eye of the Tiger. All of a sudden, started playing. Unfortunately, everyone in the Rebel Force Radio listening audience isn't hearing the music I'm hearing, because we don't have the BMI licensing to be able to play that stuff for you on the show, and they would block our production from even reaching your ears. So just as a listening audience, I want you guys all to hear Eye of the Tiger in your head as we're introducing this next. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum.
I'm not coming back until I fight Blake.
FJ, you think you know Star Wars. Well, I've got news for you. I've been in this battle since I was 4 years old. You might be a Potty-Mouthed Prophet. Don't underestimate my power. Are you ready to face the wrath of a Pint-Sized Padawan? One shall stand, one shall fall. FJ, you have twice the pride and double the fall.
You know the law. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
Blake, you've made a grave mistake provoking the Potty-Mouthed Prophet. And with that, despite the fact that you're truly adorable and hilarious, I must accept your challenge. We will duel, however deemed responsible by the keepers of the Force and Rebel Force Radio. You and I will challenge each other to trivia, to the depths of our minds and souls. And I'm just a simple man making his way in the galaxy. I accept your challenge.
We've never done anything like this. And, this is inevitable, right? We knew from the day we first started hearing from Blake and Blake's take that it was going to finally come down to this, that this 11-year-old boy would have to go toe-to-toe against a 50-some-year-old man. FJ DeSanto. He just couldn't handle not being the only prognosticator of Star Wars futures And it just got to him, Jim, as the AHSOKA after shows unfolded, and just out of the blue, he just challenged Blake. I don't think we've ever seen anything. By the way, I'm feeling like I'm a Gorilla Monsoon to your Jesse Ventura here.
Yeah,
it's pandemonium.
Absolutely.
They're hanging from the rafters for this.
Yeah, that's right, Gorilla. But, two men enter, one man leaves. That's how it's going to be. Two men enter, one man leaves. The duel of the fates, Blake versus FJ DeSanto, the Pint-Sized Padawan versus the Potty-Mouthed Prophet. And it's all happening here on Rebel Force Radio, the showdown of the century. But, Jason, we couldn't moderate this trivia contest on our own. We needed to call in for some help.
Yeah, we did. And who better to call in than our old buddy Kevin Liell. Kevin is obviously a Star Wars artist. We all know him from his great work with Norse Legion. But something you may not know is that in addition to all these convention appearances with Norse Legion and hosting panels, he's also done a lot of Star Wars trivia contests. So he's our host. And we also needed somebody to be right down the middle. We needed somebody that whose integrity was such that he could not be swayed one way or the other. A totally impartial judge of Star Wars knowledge.
Yeah, you're our Switzerland, Kevin. You're definitely our Switzerland.
I've never been called that before, but thanks a lot, gentlemen. I will do the best I can to be impartial. All of our questions will be at random. They're already listed down, so depends on who's starting, and we're going to figure that out in a minute or two. But let the best person win. I think it's going to be an interesting match.
It's going to be fantastic. All right. Well, we should definitely get to our two opponents here. Let's bring them in one at a time. Let's start with, the challenger. I look at it because he was the one that started all of this, and that is, of course, FJ DeSanto.
FJ DeSanto. Prophet or loser.
There he is, better known as the Potty-Mouthed Prophet. Check him out. Looking very Balin Skull-like. And FJ, there have been members of the Rebel Force Radio Facebook group that have thrown your name into the ring as replacements for the great late Ray Stevenson as Balin Skull.
I'm just hoping someone watches this and gets me an audition. I can grow the beard out even more. And lose the glasses.
Yeah. I think you can pull it off. But how are you feeling tonight? I mean, I would imagine that you've been training the last couple of weeks. What's the regimen been? Getting up early every morning, throwing back a couple of raw eggs, answering some Star Wars trivia?
As Kylo Ren would say, I've been waiting for this for a very long time.
Very menacing.
All right,
Very
FJ.
menacing.
Well, good luck to you, okay, my friend? All right. So that's that corner. In the opposing corner, the challenged is Blake, better known as Blake's Take. He is the pint-sized Padawan and never one to back down from a challenge. And Blake, you heard the Potty-Mouthed Prophet, as you dubbed him, by the way, in your amazing response video. You heard the Potty-Mouthed Prophet. He called you out. He challenged you. And like I said, this has been inevitable. You've had this date since the day you met, you and FJ. So how are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good. I'm ready to rumble.
Ready to rumble.
Good.
You're surrounded by all these great action figures, and I see some that looks like maybe some vintage stuff back there. It's kind of hard to tell. Is this your collection or is this your dad's collection?
Well, it's both of our collections. The collection started with Galactic Heroes. That's what got me into collecting the Star Wars figures. And then from that, we bought one 3 3/4, which was Uncard Plut. And then from that, it just overgrew. And now it's an entire room.
It happens.
Plut gets acquired and the floodgates open. That's quite a tale. You know what? I have an idea. When this is done, let's continue with Blake and ask him the Yoda questionnaire. I think it's long overdue.
Okay.
So yeah, so everyone stick around after this big battle royale, and it's going to be. We'll ask you the Yoda. Have you ever heard of the Yoda questionnaire before, Blake? I'm sorry, Jake. I've done that before.
Did you call him Jake Lloyd? Is that what you were doing?
that must be what it is.
Call that kid Jake Lloyd.
I mean, the last time I talked to a kid this age, he was Jake. Actually, it was Jake Lloyd,
the Jake.
But yeah, the very
I love
one
that
and only Anakin.
Yeah, let's do that, Blake. This is an honor. Not many people just get thrown the Yoda questionnaire, so. Yeah, we'll look forward to that.
Sounds very special.
It's special.
Yeah, but go back in time and listen to my Yoda questionnaire because Jimmy disagreed with almost every answer I gave.
Well,
go back in time and look at it. He disagreed with everything. My favorite quote, my favorite ship, my favorite job. Go listen to it.
There are no wrong answers.
It shows where he thinks I am on the Star Wars popularity roster.
Yeah, there are no wrong answers, but there are some answers that are more right than others. Put it that way. But
and
Kevin,
we can disagree with all of them too.
That's what makes it. That's what makes it fun. All right, Kevin, we're going to turn it over to you because you've done this many, many times before. Never with such pressure, but we'll let you take it away. It's your show, so I don't know if you have rules or tell us what we're about.
Well, Jason and Jim, this is what I was thinking of doing to keep things a little quicker. I was wondering if one of you could help me keep score. I'm going to try to keep score myself as we're doing this live. But it'd be a lot easier if one of you two, or if you
Matt, can you do that
out of a box?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, FJ, you are the challenger. So Blake, you are the challenged. So you get to choose who goes first. You can go first, or you can send it over to FJ. The questions are already written, so it doesn't matter who goes. Well, I guess it does, but no one knows, which question is going to be where.
You know what? I'm gonna let FJ go first.
Ooh, interesting strategy.
All right, so Jimmy, keep that with your tabulations, and are we ready to start?
Let's do it.
Let's
good
do
luck
it.
to both
Here
of
it
you,
is.
and may the force be with you.
Round one.
FJ,
yep.
What is Finn's stormtrooper designation in The Force Awakens?
Oh, FN. Oh shit, FN 2187, right?
You are correct.
Oh,
look at you. Blake's already laughing. It's like, oh,
because three of them all made a face like, oh, he already screwed this up, and it was like second guessing my. Anyway, keep going.
The next question is for Blake. In The Phantom Menace, how many members are on the Jedi Council?
So the Phantom Menace, right?
The Phantom Menace, the movie that came out in 1999, a couple days before you were born.
How many people are on the Jedi Council in the Phantom Menace?
Saying it loud enough so his dad could write it down on a card. His
dad is Googling. No, we know better than that.
All right, what's your answer, Blake?
I'm trying to think of all the people who were on the Jedi Council at that time.
That's the trick.
Can I ask a question before, I give my final answer?
Yeah, go ahead. We'll give you a question. What's your question?
Is Obi-Wan technically on the council in the Phantom Menace?
Well, see, those are we can't answer those types of questions. This is knowledge you must have.
Judges are saying we can't answer that.
We can't answer that. I'm sorry.
Not
don't
us,
think he
the
will.
judges.
I don't think so. By the way, I'm helping him. No,
he's not cheating. He's just asking a question. So why don't you just give us a number there, Blake? How old are you, Blake?
Don't
12.
confuse him with more questions about
You're
numbers.
12. That's an interesting age.
FJ's giving him a.
I tried to do that with the Force. That was
How many Jedi are on the Jedi Council, Blake?
Is there 11?
No, there's not. There's actually 12.
12 in the Phantom Menace.
That's okay. We got lots of questions. Now we're gonna try to pick up and make this go a little bit quicker before Jimmy starts texting me.
Didn't work with that. I thought my subliminal messaging would help you.
Well, I didn't know if you were trying to cheat or something.
No, I don't. I'm fair.
You
with
can't influence him. He will not be swayed easily by your trickery, Potty-Mouthed Prophet.
FJ, here's your next question. On what level of the Death Star was Princess Leia being held prisoner? On what level of the Death Star was Princess Leia being held prisoner? C-3PO says it.
Yeah, detention
room.
level. I don't remember. I'm going to say 38.
No, 5.
No, I forgot.
Level 5.
Blake's feeling better
Blake.
now.
Yeah.
How wide is the target area the rebel pilots had to fire at when attacking the Death Star? It's in meters, just to let you know. How wide was the target area of the rebel pilots had to fire at when they were attacking the Death Star? It's in meters.
So it was like whenever they're trying to shoot the torpedo into the Death Star to blow it up. How many meters?
Yes, that goes. The opening is blank meters wide, so you'll have to use proton torpedoes.
Crap, my mind's going blank.
Blake is blank.
I don't know. Is it like 11 meters?
No, it's
11. 2 meters
You're
wide.
going to say 11 again. I'm
He's
surprised
going to
you
say
did.
11 for every answer is going to be 11.
I wouldn't have known that one
FJ,
either. I don't remember.
FJ, where was Luke Skywalker born?
Oh, on the asteroid hospital thing.
Yeah, but that's not good enough.
Yeah, I know. No, I forget.
Uba.
Yeah, I know. I can see it. I know it. Oh, so I just can't remember the name of it. Do they actually say it in the movie?
They don't. But I'm saying it now. It's Polis Massa.
Okay.
Oh, God, yeah.
Blake, the next question is for you. Within 2 years, how much older is Padme than Anakin?
Within 2 years. Wait, what?
Within 2 years, how much older is Padme than Anakin? Meaning that you can guess a number and you can be at least 2 years off and still get it.
Yes. So how many years older is Padme from Anakin?
I'm trying to think.
Are you an angel?
I hear the Deep Space Pirates talking about them.
Yeah, I'd love to hear those stories. Yeah, I met this angel on Polis Massa. Wowie, wow.
So, Blake, how much older is Padme than Anakin?
I don't remember that. I literally just watched The Phantom Menace.
We'll take a guess.
And how old do you think Anakin was?
How old do I think Anakin was? In The Phantom Menace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This would be the Jake Lloyd version of Anakin.
And then from that, try to guess how old Padme was.
Wait, so Anakin was 8.
Okay.
Okay.
Padme was... trying to think how old Padme is so I can subtract.
Yeah, they don't really say.
Yeah,
so
they
it's
don't
more
really
of a
say.
guess.
I don't know to trust you, FJ.
FJ's
Stop that,
giving
FJ.
him hand
You'll be
signals.
disqualified. You'll be disqualified.
Blake wisely does not trust FJ.
I don't think it's a 5-year difference, FJ.
But is that your answer? 5? You have to give an answer now, Blake.
Yes, 5.
The answer is 5. You are correct.
Wow. Wait, what a turn of events this is. FJ
A
DeSanto.
lifeline from FJ.
An unlikely ally he has found.
FJ, in A New Hope, when did Han Solo say they would expect to land at Alderaan? In A New Hope, when did Han Solo expect to arrive at Alderaan? 0600 or 0200?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, if you've seen the movie, it should be okay.
It was 600, right?
No, it's 0200. 0600 is when they, I think that's when they were going to meet in Endor at the shield generator. I think it's 0600, but who knows? That wasn't the question that I asked.
Rare references
Blake.
the time in Star Wars.
Yeah, and the only one who does it is Han Solo.
Yeah. He's the only one with a watch in the whole galaxy.
Yeah, the watches are expensive, during the time of the Empire. So, Blake, your question is: the capital of the New Republic was located in which system when it was destroyed by the First Order? The capital of the New Republic was located in which system when it was destroyed by the First Order?
Wait, so what's the question again?
The capital of the New Republic was located in which system when it was destroyed by the First Order?
Oh, okay, so the planet the Resistance base was on before it was destroyed by the First Order.
The planet of the system, they both have the same name.
Oh, okay. And this happened in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
The Force Awakens.
I'm struggling to remember myself.
I think I know it. I'm pretty proud of myself, and I didn't have to read FJ's lips.
It's the stand-in for Coruscant.
I mean, we all thought it was Coruscant in the movie, which was really
Yeah, I sure did. I thought it was Coruscant in the film, and they blew it up. There were like 5 or 7 planets in the system, and Starkiller Base used it as its first target. What was the name? Because I'm drawing a blank myself, and I'm really surprised.
Grand Moff Tarkin would say, "Name the system." All right, Blake,
okay,
we need
well,
an answer.
We have to have an answer. Yeah, we have to have an answer.
So it's basically like I have no clue at all.
It's all right. What
it's
is
the
it?
Hosnian system. The Hosnian system. And the planet's called Hosnian Prime.
Hosnian Prime.
That one I
Right.
knew.
Hosnian Prime.
Okay.
Okay, round 1 continues with FJ.
By the way, for those of you listening to this saying, "Oh, it's so easy," yeah, you try being on the hot seat. It's easy when you're riding around in your car, but you try looking at Kevin Liell and answering these questions.
Yeah, I'm intimidating. I know. Right? FJ, what Star Wars character has the first name Willof? What Star Wars
Tarkin.
character has the first name Willof?
Tarkin.
Grand Moff Tarkin is correct.
There it is.
That's right.
FJ with a comeback here.
Blake,
FJ
this
leading
question is
2-1.
multiple choice, actually. What is Beru Lars's maiden name? Is it A, White Sun, or B, Davin? What is Beru Lars's maiden name? Is it White Sun or Darvin?
Bru Lars's maiden name. Wait, so what are the 2 choices again?
White Sun and Darvin.
White Sun and Darvin. Do they say this in the movie?
Nah,
No, it's in the book of Attack of the Clones.
It's in the book of Attack the Clones.
Yes. So you have a choice. White Sun or Darvin. What's
Blake's
your choice?
like, I was told this was supposed to be the movie stuff.
This is going a little deeper than the films. Yeah.
Is it White Sun?
Yes.
It is White Sun.
Good job, Blake.
There we go.
Good job.
Done.
Here's some more trivia. The only line of dialogue the character had in Attack of the Clones is, "Hello." That's it.
And she nailed it, by the way. She nails it. She nails it.
I don't know. I felt there should have been a little more subtlety in the way she did it, because the jazz hands was so unnecessary, I felt. Yeah, hello.
Her dialogue in Revenge of the Sith is even better.
None.
Yeah,
None.
She got the most dialogue actually in the Kenobi series.
Yeah,
That's right.
all right, FJ is up.
FJ,
which bounty hunter in The Empire Strikes Back is wearing an old costume from a Doctor Who episode?
Bosk.
Ooh,
is correct.
Nice. It's the spaceman suit,
Blake,
that was seen.
your
in the
question
Doctor
is,
Who episode.
what is the Wookiees' homeworld? What is the Wookiees'
Kashyyyk.
homeworld?
You got
Kashyyyk
it.
is correct. All right, we're
Kashyyyk.
on a roll
All
now.
right. Yeah, we're doing a lightning round. Lightning round now.
FJ, what is the name of the First Order Star Destroyer used in The Force Awakens by Kylo Ren? What is the name of Kylo Ren's Star Destroyer in The Force Awakens?
That's a good question. Is it multiple choice?
No, we'll have more multiple choice next round.
Oh shit! All right. No,
He's
I
like,
don't know.
you
I
forgot
don't
to give
remember
me the multiple choice options.
Yeah, I thought this was the multiple choice round. I thought I would BS my way out of this one. No, I don't remember what it's called.
It's called the Finalizer. That's a good Star Destroyer name. Actually, to be honest, it's right there.
Great Star Destroyer name.
I feel like
on my desk.
Look at that. He's got a model. I don't think I ever knew
It's
that.
a speaker.
Yeah, very cool. Okay.
I have the Star Destroyer right there in front of me.
Does it say
well done.
Finalizer on it?
Blake, your next question
on the license plate.
What odds does C-3PO give Han Solo for successfully navigating an asteroid field? What odds does C-3PO give Han Solo?
Are you going to take like
Why, is
a
that
rounded version of it, or you need like the
Within
exact, like
5 years.
So, what odds does C-3PO give to Han when they're in the asteroid?
He said the odds of successfully navigating an asteroid field is blank to blank.
It's something to 1.
Judges?
I say it all the time is the thing. Then the one time I need to say it, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I get confused between that number and the number of languages that 3PO speaks. I get those.
Well, hold on. That might be a question. Don't go crazy with that.
Okay. All right.
Is it 3,720?
Yes.
He's got
3,721.
Wow. An amazing mental comeback right there to give Blake the lead by 1.
All right, there we go. Moving right along. FJ, this is for you. What other name is the Imperial probe droid also referred to? What other name is the Imperial probe droid also referred to?
Probot.
Probot is correct.
Yes, I thought it was
Blake. You thought it was Jeff?
Yeah, you have to give us moments for quips between questions, Kevin.
Okay, because Jason promised me this was my show. This was my show.
See, I knew that. I knew that was a big mistake the second that came out of Swank's mouth for him to say it's your show. I'm like, of all the people in the world to say that to, that is the one person you should never say it to.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome
let me reiterate.
Force Radio.
Yeah, see, here it is. Let me reiterate.
I've been waiting years to say that.
Let me just say that you are a welcome guest here in our home.
But now,
remember whose house it is.
Blake, this is for you. Where was Luke Skywalker originally headed to pick up power converters in A New Hope? Where was
Tosche
Luke Skywalker?
Station.
Tosche Station is correct.
Yes.
Bam.
That
Going
does
to
count.
Tosche Station to pick up some power converters.
Right.
You did it less whiny, which is good.
Yeah, really. That was actually a more mature sounding read than what we actually got from Hamill in the film. But I'm wondering, Kevin, would you have accepted Anchorhead as an answer? Or did it have to be specifically?
I would have asked him to expand on it. I would not have been cool because technically Anchorhead would have been accurate. But in the film, he says Tosche Station.
He does.
But if he had said Anchorhead, I would have said where in Anchorhead.
Mm-hmm. Can we hear that line one more time, Blake?
I was going to Tosche Station to pick up some power converters.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Where was this kid when they were casting?
Yeah, where was he in 74, 76?
I wasn't
FJ,
born yet.
next question is for you. What is the name of Poe Dameron's X-Wing squadron? That's for you, FJ.
RFR listeners know that FJ DeSanto is a huge fan of Poe Dameron.
It's not Black Squadron, is it? It's not Black Squadron.
It is Black Squadron.
Yes.
Be more definitive with your answer. I'm assuming that's what you were guessing. I should have
it's Black
let
Squadron.
you answer that out. But... Okay.
All right.
Blake, this one's for you. In what country were most of the exterior Tatooine scenes filmed? In what country were most of the exterior Tatooine scenes filmed?
So, like, in what country was Tatooine, like, all the them in the sand and stuff, where is it filmed?
Yeah, where most of it was filmed. There were some scenes, some smaller pickup scenes in other places, but most of the movies, in several of the movies, they were filmed in a certain country. Do you know the name of that country?
It's the same country where they filmed The English Patient, if that helps.
One of Blake's favorites.
Yeah, Blake's sitting around in between viewings of the prequels that he watches The English Patient.
Over and over and over again.
That was a great movie, though. I love that movie.
What's The English Patient?
In what country were most of the exterior Tatooine scenes filmed?
Does it start with a T?
Yes. We'll give you that. We can answer that.
Okay, yeah, it starts with a T.
Is it like... It was on a documentary of A New Hope.
Yes.
I remember
It's
that.
been on many documentaries.
As a matter of fact, most of us would have never heard of this country if it wasn't for Star Wars.
Indeed.
I honestly believe that.
Is it like tunas? I know it has like a TU something.
Yes, spell it.
I don't remember how they say it. It's like TUNISIA or something like
Done.
that.
That's it. He just answered
that's
it.
close enough. It's
Tunisia.
He just spelled out Tunisia. I think we're going to give it to you, okay?
Yep, that's a point for Blake.
Judges are giving me the thumbs up.
That is the end of round 1.
Okay,
right.
so we have FJ DeSanto with a score of 5 compared to young Blake's score of 6. So the Pint-Sized Padawan has a 1-point lead over the Potty-Mouthed Prophet following round 1.
You kidding me?
Okay, well, it's very close, but
All right, round
the
2.
score is sitting at 5 and 6. Okay, round 2, here we go.
These are round 2, and this is the multiple choice round just for FJ. And who answered the last question? That was Blake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're back to FJ.
I'm ready.
FJ, in Return of the Jedi, who steps on a stick giving away his surprise attack on Endor? In Return of the Jedi, who steps on a stick and gives himself away? Is it A, Han, or B, Chewbacca?
It's Han.
That is correct.
Correct. Good job, FJ. FJ took his vitamins today.
Blake, what Hutt conspires with Count Dooku in the Clone Wars film? Is it Jalika the Hutt or Zero the Hutt?
Wait, what's the question?
Sure. What Hutt conspires with Count Dooku in the Clone Wars film? Is it Jalika the Hutt or Zero the Hutt?
What does conspire mean?
I knew that was coming.
I didn't think of that one. Okay, so one of these Hutts is working with Count Dooku to do bad and evil stuff in the Clone Wars. Now, is it Jalika the Hutt or is it Zero the Hutt?
Jalika or Zero?
Hello
Zero.
there.
I feel like I know the name Zero. Like, I feel like I know like the name from like.
Okay, is that your answer?
Some. You know what? Sure. Yeah, I'll go Zero.
It is Zero the Hutt. Both Jalika and Zero are uncles of Jabba, but Zero is the one who conspired with Count Dooku. Conspire means to like work together in like a nefarious way. Oh God, there's another word, nefarious. In a bad criminal
What does that
way.
mean?
Like criminals conspire to do bad things.
I'm surprised, Blake, that you don't instantly recognize who Zero the Hutt is. Are you not a big Clone Wars fan?
I don't remember the movie like at all.
Okay,
I don't either.
well, a lot of people could say that, yeah. But Zero does make several appearances throughout the series itself.
Yeah, I remember the name Zero, but
yeah.
I'll tell you, Blake, I think that as long as you don't overthink these answers, I think that's what's happening is you're thinking these might be trickier than they are. I'd say go with your gut.
okay, yeah.
Well, Blake's winning, so obviously something is working right for him.
FJ, in Return of the Jedi, who takes over the Death Star briefing from Amol Akbar? Is it General Nadine or Mon Mothma? In Return of the Jedi, who takes over the Death Star briefing from Admiral Akbar?
It was Nadine.
It was Nadine. That is correct.
So she talked Nadine. Then Akbar, then Nadine.
Yeah.
Exactly. Blake, in A New Hope, during the Battle of the Death Star, which pilot states, "Look at the size of that thing"? Is it Red 2, which is Wedge, or is it Red 3, which is Biggs?
Wedge or Biggs? Look at the size of that thing.
Look at the size of that thing.
Is it? Trying to think.
Well, it could be Wedge or it could be Biggs. So take a choice. Pick one of the two. He's looking at his action figure.
Whichever figure I have is getting
it. Maybe if I look at this action figure hard enough, he'll reveal the answer to me. Blake, I'm happy to see you're wearing your Mandalorian headphones that you won here on Rebel Force Radio, courtesy of our friends at Logitech.
Yeah, I use them a lot whenever I'm gaming and stuff like that.
Good. Well,
Because I play a lot of online games with my friends and stuff.
Have you ever played an online trivia game? Like right now? like in A New Hope, which pilot says, look at the size of that thing? Have you decided to...
See, I feel like it's Wedge, but then, like...
Look at Uncle
What did Jason say about go with your first answer?
Yeah.
Well, my first answer, like, I don't really...
Trust
my
your
mind is
feelings.
going blank.
Come on, Blake. Wedge your bigs. Just say a name.
Wedge your bigs. Wedge.
It's Wedge. The answer is Wedge.
There it is. I told you.
Correct.
You have it. You have the answer. You just have to believe.
Oh, this is for FJ. What is the name of the Imperial Admiral at the beginning of The Empire Strikes Back who Vader kills? Is it A, Ozzel, or B, Nita?
It's Ozzel.
Ozzel is correct.
Yes.
Blake,
FJ.
the next question is for you. How many limbs does Dexter Jester have?
Dexter Jet? Huh?
And it's multiple choice. How many limbs does Dexter Jester have? So that's arms and legs. How many limbs does he have? Does he have 6 or does he have 8? Dexter Jester.
He's looking for the
figures.
action.
He's looking for figures.
That's fair.
allowed?
I mean, if it's... Yeah, it's allowed.
They're cloners.
Is that a Dexter, do you have a Dexter Jester in your hand? Blake, do you have a Dexter Jester in your hand?
He does.
Is there a Dexter Jester in front of you?
Well...
I can't blame. Hey, if you got a Dexter Jester or a boss, or
Can we
whatever in
see
front of
him?
you, it's not.
Let's see
No
him.
one's blaming you.
That's him.
Oh, I'm trying to think who... Yeah, okay. Wait, so all the limbs together, does that count as head? Or just his
No,
arms
that's
and
the
legs?
head. The head is not a limb.
Arms and legs.
Is it 6?
Yes.
6 is correct. I didn't count on the fact that he'd have the toy in the room, but all right.
Let's see him.
we
There
didn't
he
say-
is.
Hey, we
He
didn't
did my
say he couldn't.
cantina.
Yeah.
I put him at the front of my cantina.
Before we got on, Blake was eating a bunch of French fries, and I thought Dexter made them.
From Dex's Diner.
Let's get some French fries with this Jawa juice. All right.
The next question is for FJ. On the attack of the second Death Star, the rebel teams consist of the following colors: red, gray, green, and what other color? On the attack of the second Death Star, the rebel teams consist of red, gray, green, and what other color? Gold or black?
Gold.
Gold is correct.
All right. Well, it's 4-3 here in round 2 with Blake now up to bat.
Blake, the question is for you. Who did Anakin greet by saying, "You're shorter than I expected"? Was
General
it Count
Grievous.
Dooku or General Grievous? Is correct.
Right, wow.
We were just watching Revenge of the Sith the other day whenever we were painting these poles in our basement to make them look like lightsabers.
Ooh.
As one
It
does.
sounds like you're really living a quite fulfilling Star Wars lifestyle there with you and your dad, super fans, father and son. I think that's great.
Lifestyles of the Force and powerful.
FJ, the next question is for you. What is the name of General Organa's ship in The Last Jedi? It is A, Raddus, or B, the Intrepid.
Raddus.
Raddus is correct.
Raddus. Wow.
Similar
5-4.
question for you, Blake. What is the name of Admiral Raddus's ship in Rogue One? Admiral Raddus is the person the Raddus is named after in the previous question. What is the name of Admiral Raddus's ship in Rogue One? Is it the Intrepid or the Profundity? Profundity. I almost said profanity, but it can't.
That's FJ's ship. FJ's ship is the profanity. It's shaped like a big middle finger, and it just goes through space.
There's a 10-year-old here today, or a 12-year-old.
He's 12.
Well, he's the Potty-Mouthed Prophet, so I just...
I love it.
What was the name of Admiral Raddus's ship in Rogue One? Was it the Intrepid or the Profundity?
The Intrepid or the Profundity?
Profundity.
Is Admiral Raddus?
It's where profound comes from. Admiral Raddus.
So it's the Profundity or the whatever the other one was called.
The Intrepid.
The Intrepid. The Intrepid sounds like a cool name. Is it... I'm just going to pick a random one. Profundity.
Are you sure?
Profundity is correct.
Wow.
Oh, this is for FJ. What is the name of the first ship seen in Star Wars A New Hope? This is for FJ. What is the name of the first ship you see in Star Wars A New Hope? Is it the Tantive 4 or the Devastator?
Yeah. The Tantive 4.
That is correct. Blake, the next one is for you.
Okay.
What actor plays Owen Lars in Revenge of the Sith? Is it Steve Perry or Joel Edgerton? What actor plays Owen Lars in Revenge of the Sith? Steve Perry or Joel Edgerton?
So Owen Lars?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What actor plays Owen Lars in Revenge of the Sith? Steve Perry or... What was the other guy's name?
Joel Edgerton.
Joel Edgerton.
Make a pick.
Is it Joel Edgerton?
It is Joel Edgerton. That is correct.
Wow.
FJ, what bounty hunter does Kuehl program to be used as his own servant droid in The Mandalorian? Is it IG-85 or IG-11? Can you hear him?
Does FJ hear us? FJ, do you hear us?
IG-11.
IG-11 is correct.
Sorry, I'm muted.
FJ does hear us. All right, so that's one for FJ.
Blake, this is for you. What item does Beckett try to steal during the train heist in Solo: A Star Wars Story? What item does Beckett try to steal during a train heist in Solo: A Star Wars Story? Is it kyber crystals or coaxium?
Coaxium.
Coaxium is correct.
It's 8-8 in round 2.
FJ, what ship does Count Dooku use to escape Geonosis in Attack of the Clones? What ship does Count Dooku use to escape Geonosis in Attack of the Clones? Is it a Geonosian fighter or is it a sail? What?
The Solar Sail.
Solar Sail is correct. We're getting deck because this is going to be the last round, right, Jimmy?
This is it. Yeah.
Blake's still one up.
Blake, this is for you. Black One is the starfighter for which character? Finn or Poe Dameron?
Finn or Poe Dameron is Black One. Wait, Finn flies? Wait, are we counting Force Awakens?
Oh, that's a good question. Does Finn fly? I don't know. I can't answer that, but all I can say is which pilot...
Finn is on the planet in The Force Awakens because he's down there trying to shut down the shield or whatever in The Force Awakens.
So what
it's got to be
that
Poe then.
It's got to be Poe.
Poe is correct.
All right, this is the final question for each of you.
This next one is for FJ, and it is, after his defection to the Sith, what name does Count Dooku adopt? Darth Sion or Darth Tyrannus?
Tyrannus.
He answered correctly.
Oh,
so that's an undefeated, an undefeated round there for FJ with 10 points, but still 1 point behind overall. Now, Blake, you have to answer this question to become the king of RFR Star Wars trivia.
All right.
It is multiple choice, so if you don't answer this correctly, it's a tie, and we'll have to go to sudden death or something. Gold Squadron primarily flew what type of starfighter? Is it a B-wing or a Y-wing? Gold
Squadron flew a B-wing or a Y-wing?
The B-wing or the Y-wing? Gold Squadron primarily flew what type of starfighter?
B-wing or the Y-wing? I want to say, crap.
See what you've done, FJ. The kids now using foul language.
Well, just try to think where you hear Gold Squadron. Where do they mention Gold Squadron?
Gold Squadron.
Crap.
Hold up, so it's B-wing or what? Y-wing?
B-wing or Y-wing? Y-wing.
Y-wing.
Y-wing is correct. All right, so that's it then.
So, Jimmy, give me the tabulation. What is the score?
The final score here after 2 rounds, 20 questions given to each of our contestants. Blake had a score of 16 to FJ DeSanto's 15.
Loser.
So, Blake, you are the king.
The Pint-Sized Padawan is one.
Yes.
Let's go!
What's that, FJ?
The finalizer. If I only knew the finalizer.
The finalizer. That was a tough question.
It all came down to that one. Wow.
I'll tell you this. I pledge myself to Blake's teachings. I will now become his Padawan.
Wow. This is quite a moment.
He's going to get a gift in the mail from me. It may not be Star Wars related. It might be robot related.
Jimmy and I were talking this morning, actually. We were going to give a $50 gift certificate at Norse Legion.
Oh, are you serious, Kevin?
Yeah, you know what? We talked about this morning, and we forgot to mention it during our intro.
Man. Well, because of that, we got to plug it. Of course, Kevin Liell is the main man there at the Norse Legion. You can find it on social media at Norse Legion. A fine selection of Star Wars products, merchandise there, stuff you won't find anywhere else. And he's given Blake
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And he's given the winner of this incredible contest a $50 gift certificate. Blake, your biggest problem now is what in the world you're going to get from Norse Legion, because there's a lot of really fun stuff there.
Yeah,
so that's great. All right, FJ, thank you so much. What a great sport FJ has been. Thank you, my friend.
Bye, FJ.
Well done, dude. Talk to you later.
There you
Thanks,
go.
FJ.
There he goes. FJ's taking off. All right.
Just like a Force ghost, FJ is disappeared.
If you don't mind me adding or plugging the fact that I'll be at Rhode Island Comic-Con this weekend, and I'll be interviewing and hosting the panel with this guy.
Who's that?
Our
Anthony Daniels.
C-3PO himself. Anthony Daniels.
Oh, that's a great looking patch right there.
That is a really
that's the it's the Rhode Island Comic-Con logo, and it says C-3PO. Please come on by. As a matter of fact, if you're from Rebel Force Radio, if you listen to Rebel Force Radio, come by, remind me, and I'll give you one of these for free.
Oh, see, that's the stuff. The patches, man, they become very sought after because they're done in smaller quantities. There's crazy patch collectors. It's a whole other side of Star Wars collecting.
It's one other thing we're selling, and that is we did this for the Peter Mayhew Foundation. We did these little pins. If I can see it there.
Let's get a nice close up here. Oh, look at that! It's the Chewie bandolier done as a cause ribbon, which is great.
Right, and then so what we did is I asked the Peter Mayhew Foundation if I can do 50 of these to give these away to veterans that stop in my booth. So we have a green Army version. For anybody coming to our booth this weekend, because this weekend is the week before Veterans Day, so we wanted to do something special for them, and then. That's it. I have one more show this year. It's GalaxyCon in Columbus, which is right in your neck of the wood, Jason.
Sure is. Are you going to be coming through? Hi. Yeah. If you're going to be coming through, would love to see you.
Yeah, we could stop at that place by what place I'm talking about. But yeah. So that'll be in the beginning of December, and then that's it. I have no more shows for the rest of the year.
All right. Well, that's good because the holidays are coming up, and you'd be close at home. Well, Kevin, thanks so much for everything. The winner prize, that's great, and then also. Always supporting the Rebel Force Radio listeners who come up to you at shows. Much, much appreciated. So check it out at Norse Legion. The great Kevin Liell. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kev.
Thank you. Make sure just make some sort of introduction between me and Blake so I can get him a discount code for the website.
We'll do that.
Sure. Just behind the scenes. You can send it to us, and we'll take care of that. No problem.
All right, I'll send it to Jimmy. All right. Good night, guys.
And, thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, buddy.
All right, bye.
Prayers, eating your vitamins, all of that. But to have walked away the victor, and what are your thoughts right now?
That was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done. I'm so glad that I got to do this because this is just so cool.
Well, you're so cool. You're probably the coolest kid we've ever met here on Rebel Force Radio, and that's why we want to get to know you a little bit as a Star Wars fan. So we're going to ask you questions that Yoda the Jedi Master himself sent to us. He faxed it to us. He doesn't get good broadband on Dagobah, so he still uses a fax machine. But that's okay, that's pretty good technology for Dagobah. Because usually, like the only other technical thing going on, what happens technically on Dagobah. Fire, maybe that's considered like technology. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
the only other way it communicates is by tying a little note to the leg of one of those bat bird creatures that's flying. Or we lost Kevin. What the hell are the names of those things? I've always wanted to know. What are the names? What bog wings?
Bog wings, yes.
No, Mac knows.
Bog wings.
Mac knows. So let's do it. It's time for
the Yoda questionnaire.
Thank you,
Jazzy.
Richard Cheese.
Yeah.
All right, Blake.
That's pretty cool.
This is that's how we roll here on RFR. Okay, so this is a little bit easier. These are questions, but they're not trivia questions. They are about Star Wars, but there are no wrong answers. However, like as we like to say here, there are answers that are more right than others. So we're going to kick things off with the first question, which is who or what, Blake, is your favorite Star Wars character? Who
Darth
or what?
Vader.
Wow, without hesitation, Darth Vader. All right.
Why do you like Vader so much?
Oh, wait 1 second.
Oh, he's up, he's moving. He's going through the collection room. I mean, Blake has all the characteristics of a classic RFR host. You know, leaping up from in the middle of a show to go grab some memorabilia to show off to the other guys.
Oh, so he's showing us.
Wow.
Is this your Darth Vader shrine?
Yeah, he's got Darth Vader stuff on the wall.
The toy box of Vader, then there's a Vader pinata, and then I got a Rogue One Vader is in the box right there. I kept him sealed.
Yeah.
Oh, and I got
that's
Bib
great.
Fortuna over there. Fat Bib. And another Vader on that side.
All right.
Amazing.
My son has the same decals on his wall as you got there. Very, very cool.
Yeah, the New Hope and Return.
Yeah.
It's all original trilogy.
You didn't waste any time in naming Vader as the favorite character. Let's see if you have it at top of mind who your least favorite character is. Who might your least favorite Star Wars character be?
I call her a purple hair lady. She is my least favorite character of all time. Last Jedi, I absolutely
That would be Admiral Haldo. Admiral Haldo.
Yes, I hate Haldo.
Haldo. Okay.
All right. Just remember, hatred is the path to the dark side. But so Vader's your favorite character, but you're wearing a really cool Boba Fett hoodie that looks like Book of Boba Fett era Boba.
Yeah,
and that's a great looking hoodie.
Yeah, Book of Boba.
Did you do Halloween this year?
Yeah, I dressed up as Anakin. My dad was Jar Jar. My little sister was AHSOKA, and my dog was Yoda.
Oh, the whole family was involved. That's fantastic. I love that when the whole family gets into the theme.
Yeah, that's
all
great.
Right. Okay. Blake, next question. What scene in Star Wars or what moment in Star Wars always makes you smile? No matter how many times you see it, you always get a little grin across your face.
That makes me excited every time I see the scene.
What's that?
Well, there's
makes you smile, just brings you joy.
Or makes you laugh.
A bunch of different scenes that make me excited. I have the end of Rogue One when Darth Vader's just going down that hall, just picking up everyone, just slicing
them. That makes you smile?
That's my favorite scene.
You maniac,
yes,
Puts a big old grin on his face. He's a Darth Vader fan. What do you expect?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
It gets me excited every time I see it.
Yeah. Boy, I'll tell you what, if I'm walking by a TV and that scene pops up, I'm freezing in my tracks and I'm watching that scene.
Yes.
All right. So that's a good one. Rogue One.
All right. What moment or scene in all of Star Wars makes you sad? Always makes you sad.
Sad. The scene that makes me sad in Star Wars.
Every time the purple-haired lady comes into the screen. Oh, man.
Not this again. That, makes me, you mean, kind of makes me feel upset?
Yeah, like
sad,
it's a bummer.
Sad.
Yeah, it makes you sad.
Well, you don't have to be crying or anything, but you know.
That's hard.
Blake's got ice running through his veins.
Yeah, well, his favorite,
anything.
his favorite scene is Vader cutting up innocent.
How about when Vader
there
dies?
on the Tantive 4? Oh, when Vader
Yeah,
dies.
that's what I'm thinking of. Is
Yeah.
when Vader dies. But yeah, probably when Vader dies.
Vader dies. Okay. What job in the Star Wars universe? There's lots of jobs, everything from a Jedi Knight to a smuggler, a pilot.
Sith Lord.
Okay. Sith Lord. Didn't even wait for the question to finish. Okay. Well, very good. I don't think that we need any explanation about that. What would your least favorite, what job would you least like to do in the Star Wars universe? The job that you would hate.
The job that I would hate. Do they have janitors at the Rebel bases?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Yes.
Someone's got to take out the trash.
Yeah.
Then yeah, that'd probably be like my least favorite
A
job.
janitor
There you
at
go.
the Rebel base. Ugh,
I mean,
can you
I'd be
imagine?
excited to be a janitor at like the Death Star, but if we're gonna go like one that we actually see,
Mhm.
probably my least favorite job would be like smuggling. That it just you
Oh.
can get in a whole lot of lot of different trouble and stuff like that.
Yeah,
If you
it's-
mess something up.
Yeah.
Very
Well, look what
stressful.
happened to Han Solo. I mean, he had a price on
No,
his head
pretty-
so big he couldn't go
Price on his
anywhere.
head.
Yeah, and
very-
and
very
it's put in
stressful.
carbonite.
Yeah.
Smuggler or janitor.
Put on ice.
That's fair.
All right, we got one more question for you, okay?
All right.
And that is, this is really the most important question. This is the biggest of all questions. Existential, you might say.
It's the king.
And that is, if there was a new Star Wars movie to be made and George Lucas returned as its director and you, Blake, were the star. You're the star, George Lucas directing new Star Wars movie. What would you like to hear him say to you after he says cut on your final scene?
Probably something like nobody could have played that part better than you could have. That was amazing. I love the acting. Really good. No,
There
something
it
like
is.
that.
What if he just walked up, put his hand on your shoulder, and said, "Nobody does it better, kid, than you."
I'd be super excited. I'd just be excited to be in the room with George Lucas.
There you go. It is exciting to be in the same room as George Lucas, as I can attest, but George Lucas is usually the least exciting guy in the room. Oddly. I mean, really, when it comes down to it. It's very exciting to be there in the room with him, but he is the least exciting guy you could be around, in my opinion.
Let's just put it this way. If we gave him the Yoda questionnaire and we asked him what moment in Star Wars makes him smile, he'd be like, none of them.
Yeah, they were all miserable experiences.
I tell you that there was a big sandstorm, wiped us out. The first one and the fourth one.
And the first one, everything turned out horribly, nothing like I wanted to, and everyone loved it. And the second trilogy, everything worked out perfectly, exactly like I wanted, and everyone hated it.
All right, Blake, thank you so much. What a big night for you. Really appreciate you spending all this time with us, and congratulations on the big win. I think for a lot of people, this was an upset. I think they expected the older guy to have
More
the
out of it.
advantage.
Yeah.
And, you know, you were on the ropes. It was a rocky start for you from the beginning, and then you came back, you kept your head in the game, and you came
And
out
I
with the
won it
W.
all.
It's flexing. You're a great
I'm
kid,
just
Blake.
stronger.
We love it. We love it. Well, thanks,
You're a great
buddy.
kid. And thank your parents for allowing you to spend some time goofing around with your old Star Wars buddies here. And thank your dad, Brian, too. He's a great guy. So,
Dad.
and
They're talking about you. He's right there.
let's see Brian real
All right,
quick.
is Dad
Just
gonna
tell him
come
to
in
jump
and
in,
play?
just to say hi. We want to
Let's
see Brian.
This is there he is. That's just responsible. for all of this.
Good. Hey, he's a great dad right there. You have a great dad, Blake. He knows how to do it right.
And all those great toys on the shelves. All right, fellas, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
May the force be with you.
I'm sure we'll see you on the next first Rebel Force Radio after show.
Oh yeah.
All right, buddy. Take care.
See you, Blake.
See ya.
All right, there he goes. There goes Blake, the undisputed champion of Star Wars trivia here at Rebel Force Radio. And Jim, I don't know. It really could have been anybody's contest. What I noticed was that when FJ knew an answer, he knew he would get the answer out even before Kevin would get the whole question out. He was so confident. Whereas with Blake, he thought he knew, but I think he was thinking that maybe these were harder questions sometimes than they actually were, and he was just not trusting himself.
Right. There's a little skeptic inside Blake there, which, it could work to his benefit or it could hamstring him a little bit. So I think he did really great, though, hanging out with the big boys here on Rebel Force Radio. He's extremely comfortable being himself on camera and on a microphone and talking to adults, and I find that to be something of a rarity with young people. And I think Blake gives me a lot of confidence in the young Star Wars generation. So you never know. Maybe someday me and Jason will hang it up and we'll pass the show over to young Blake. Who knows?
Who knows? All right. Well, thanks, Blake. Thanks, FJ. Thanks, Kevin Liell. Once again, you can find Kevin's wares at Norse Legion on all the socials, and we'll make sure that Blake gets that $50 gift card for the Norse Legion.
Yes, indeedy.
Rebel Force Radio.
You've already made that Star Wars reference.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars parody.
All right. Are you ready for this? I said this was a crossover story because, Jim, it really is. I mean, it definitely fits in Star Wars and pop culture, where we talk about Star Wars when it shows up in things outside of the Star Wars universe. There's a great history of Star Wars references in many, many TV shows and movies and things like that. But this was something I didn't see this coming. I had no idea that Disney and some of its recent struggles in the press was going to get in the crosshairs of Matt and Trey and South Park, and not just an episode, but a whole special, like a 40 whatever it was minute special, the Panderverse.
Yes, joining the Panderverse. It was unexpected, and I was really surprised at how on the nose it was, and how it kind of skewered not only Disney but fans as well a little bit too. I was trying to consider how I'd really word my review of it, and I came across this article on Forbes by Eric Kane, and he summed it up so well. He said, the brilliance of South Park's latest special, Joining the Panderverse, is in Matt Stone and Trey Parker's ability to skewer all sides of a fraught cultural debate. The 47-minute episode is able to call out Disney's laziness and the general laziness of token diversity, over-reliance on the multiverse, and so forth, while also taking jabs at the other side of the aisle and all the lazy anti-woke YouTubers and fans who spend all their time complaining about diversity. So let's rock through some of these highlights. Our first audio highlight features Cartman, young, innocent Cartman. Sweet baby Cartman. Well, he's in bed and he has a nightmare about Kathleen Kennedy.
Mom, I had a dream that I was replaced by a diverse woman.
Oh, not again.
Yeah, only this time it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy. Will you check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there?
I promise there's not.
I'm scared, Mom. Will you please just look and make sure Kathleen Kennedy isn't under my bed?
Kathleen Kennedy is not under your bed.
Can you check the closet?
Eric, enough. I've told you there's no such thing as Disney executives who replace everyone you love with diverse women who complain about the patriarchy. Now be a big boy.
Cartman's not getting much sleep that night.
Oh, how many of us have had the nightmare of Kathleen Kennedy under our bed or in our closet?
Well, I'll tell you what. Cartman might be onto something because we get invited into a Bob Iger Disney board meeting where the topic of Kathleen Kennedy and something known as the Panderverse gets revealed.
Something is wrong with the universe. Our stocks are down and every Disney movie this year has failed.
We don't understand it, sir. We keep making the same movie over and over and pandering to everyone, but suddenly it's not working.
Then we've got to pander harder.
Look, I don't want to have to say it, but I think the problem is Kathleen Kennedy.
Kathleen Kennedy has made studios a lot of money. Yes, before, but you have to admit something's changed. For weeks now, she's been completely different.
It's true.
What if this is a different Kathleen Kennedy?
What are you saying, Rick?
I'm just saying, isn't it possible that we here at Disney pandered so much that we've opened a doorway to the Panderverse?
The Panderverse is just a theory!
And yet we do have the Panderstone downstairs. It's possible that someone has tampered with it somehow.
And we'll find out that someone is Kathleen Kennedy. And they're onto something because in this timeline, I don't know what this universe has been infected with a Kathy Kennedy Cartman mashup from the multiverse. I know, as hard as that is to believe.
So the Kathleen Kennedy in our universe, in the universe that we live in,
yes,
is a hybrid. Is Eric Cartman an Eric Cartman type in inhabiting Kathleen Kennedy's position, her job? Yeah. Okay. So Kathleen Kennedy as Eric Cartman is in our universe. She's the one that's making all of these decisions about casting and what Star Wars projects get made. Okay, I think I got it.
Yes. Well, as of today.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that the real Kathy Kennedy wasn't there, ever since George Lucas signed the papers.
Kathleen Kennedy. Where happened to that Kathleen Kennedy? Where is she?
All right,
one
good.
That wrote Shotgun on all these classic films.
Thank God you're asking this question, Jason, because we have the answer here in this next audio clip. Kathy Kennedy meets Cartman, and she confesses to using the Panderstone.
I'm not your enemy, Eric. For some reason, fate has put us together.
What do you want from me, Kathleen Kennedy?
I've been stuck in this universe for months. I want out of here just as much as you do. I saw the Panderstone for the first time a few years ago. Bob Iger took us to the Disney archives and showed us an ancient piece of artificial intelligence that could be used to make the same movies over and over again while appealing to absolutely everyone. The Panderstone worked great for a while, but then came the hate mail. Ugly letters from racists who couldn't stand that some of the Panderstone's rehashes had diverse women characters in the lead. I decided I would show them. I would start making movies to fight all the bigotry in our society. But instead of doing any real work, I turned to the Panderstone. It made things so much easier. Soon I was using the Panderstone over and over again to try and fight all the ugly feedback, which in turn was growing stronger and stronger. But I was fighting with the wrong tool. I used the Panderstone to the point that it became unstable. It opened a portal to multiple universes, and something came through.
And that's the Cartman, Kathy Kennedy mashup.
Think we'll get an action figure of that?
Wow. South Park Panderverse action figures.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, that's interesting. If they come out, we'll review them here on RFR. But so, I mean, it's interesting. She says a lot of these things add up. I think with the real Kathy Kennedy, she really wanted to make quality entertainment, and Then the hate mail came in. But what she fails to also say is, there's also all the other influences on her beyond hate mail. There's all kind of groups barking up her tree and donating money to whatever charity she picks to try to influence entertainment. There are plenty of groups out there who work overtime on executives and try to influence them the same way they try to influence politicians. I mean, let's face it, that goes on in Hollywood constantly.
Yeah, I think one of the problems is that people's politics has become a fashion accessory for a lot of people. It has become fashion to a degree. And so I think that it has, and social media has also been able to sort of magnify and amplify, boost the signal, of the personal politics of people in a way that has never been done before. And of course, then that creates a lot of pressure to be on the right side of whatever the social or political question is. And I understand. I like what this show did, and it was brought up, like you say, really well by Eric Kane and Forbes, is that it did demonstrate sort of the absurdity of both extremes. The problem I have with the one side is the side seems to think that this is all some sort of calculated and clandestine plot to change culture and change society. And I think where Matt and Trey landed is it's not quite so evil as that, as it is just lazy. It's lazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's because rather than to create something new, what they do is say they take this thing out of the closet. This worked. Let's give it a fresh coat of paint and put it out there and see if we can capture the other, the marginalized, or however you want to describe it, and see what we can do with it.
Or even the non-fan, the disinterested.
Or even the non-fan. Exactly. So let's take this thing that has this dedicated fandom. They're going to be with us no matter what, because they're going to see the logo, the label. We've got them. So let's grab this other 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever it is, instead of creating something new for that audience. So, and it does it very, very well here.
For sure. And it also shows how both sides are overreactionary. So here's Kathy Kennedy sort of spilling out the truth to Eric Hartman, telling him what really caused the problem. And that was the hate mail. The hate mail really triggered her. And thus she decided to double down. When she reveals this to Cartman, Cartman then reveals something to Kathy that I don't think she saw coming.
I understand that maybe you were trying to make a difference, Kathleen, but you have to admit the last few movies you've shit out have been real stinkers.
All I ever wanted was to make great entertainment, believe me. But as soon as you start getting piles and piles of hate mail, endless messages calling you the C word, you can't think straight.
Well, I'm sorry I wrote all those letters. They probably was a bit.
No, I got like 10,000 letters a day.
I was doing more like 12 to 13,000, especially after the new Indiana Jones came out.
Well, it was Cartman all along.
It was him all along. He's overreacting. The Kathleen Kennedy overreacts. Back and forth. It never ends. It never ends.
Yeah, because both sides just double down, triple down. It's like
keeps happening.
The frustrating thing to watch a lot of this is that there's been some really great Star Wars stories that have been told over the last 10 years. And one side just refuses to see it, refuses to admit it, refuses to entertain it at all. That's the one side. And then you've got the other side that is so caught up with their own politics and their own agendas that they don't see anything wrong or miscalculated about the decisions that are being made within a big franchise like Star Wars. And it's like, so there's nothing to discuss because both sides have chosen their positions and they're completely unable to see even a glimpse of the other side's point of view. And it is definitely, I think, a sort of a microcosm for some of the larger political and social discussions that we should be having, but we're not, because no one's interested in having a nuanced discussion where you would be open to, the possibility that somebody else might have a good point. I'm not saying that you have to agree with everything, but that they might have a good point.
Well, the whole episode wraps up with Kathy Kennedy and Cartman sort of realizing that they're both at fault, really. They're both triggering each other, and it's become this endless cycle. And they return from the multiverse to South Park. Let's join them as they reunite with their loved ones and fellow co-workers.
I'm back, you guys! Carl, I'm back! I was so wrong about Kathleen Kennedy, Carl. She's so awesome!
Okay, what Cartman is this?
Miss Kennedy, you're back!
Great to see you, ma'am.
Thanks, you guys. We have a lot of changes to discuss at the company. From now on, we're only going to make original content that doesn't pander.
Sure we will, Kate. Sure we will.
That's Bob Iger. That was Bob Iger responding. Sure we will, Kate. And who calls her Kate? She's always been known as Kathy. They even call her Kathy a bunch of times in this episode. Kate? Does Bob Iger call her Kate? No wonder things are so crazy over at Disney. They can't even get each other's names right. Sure we will, Kate. Sure we will. You hear the skepticism in the Bob Iger.
Oh, the pandering, you might say.
The pandering from the king of all pander, Bob Iger. And let's not forget that he's largely to blame for this insanity that has befallen the Disney company these days. Everybody thought he was the big white knight riding in from retirement to save everyone from the evil Bob Chapek, who couldn't get anything done right. Oh, yeah? Well, have you looked at the scoreboard in 2023 for Disney? And is it going to improve with the Marvels next week? I don't know. But the trend has not been positive. And things are coming to a head, I believe. And I believe culturally some things are coming to a head as well.
Yeah.
As far as the way the entire Hollywood system operates. So it's a very interesting little bit of satire here from South Park. They also, do a number on the whole college loan system and all of that, and people who have skills and people who don't have skills, and the difference between millionaires and the regular guy. And there's a lot to unpack in this episode of South Park, even beyond the Disney culture war stuff that gets highlighted the most. But it was very entertaining and kind of eye-opening at times, and definitely worth watching. And I haven't said that about South Park in about 20 years. Hey, we have one more Star Wars and pop culture moment, and I'd like to share it with you now. This comes from Jeff from Maryland. We're going to wrap up the show with ghosts, sort of wrapping up the Halloween week with a clip from Ghosts. Boo. Scary. In Star Wars, I think we prefer to call them spirits more than ghosts, right?
Yes.
The Jedi spirits, right?
Or Force ghost.
Sometimes we say Force ghost. Yeah, sure. Why not? So this show, CBS Ghosts, is a fantastic and fun show, according to Jeff from Maryland. In their second season, episode 17, Weekend from Hell, there's a Star Wars reference. The main characters, Sam and Jay, own an old manor home that is haunted. Ooh. Sam gives Jay a pep talk before he tries to create a complicated meal in the kitchen. So I don't think this really has much to do with actually, ghosts in the spiritual world or anything like that. I think it's just this guy is going to go make a meal in the kitchen, and Sam, I'm assuming, gives him a pep talk. So let's tune into Ghosts.
You know, in Star Wars, when Luke is in that trench on the Death Star and he turns off his targeting computer when Obi-Wan tells him to use the Force, you got this.
Oh my God, the nerd wore off on her.
Sam, it means so much to me that you got all those details right.
Jay, everything you need is inside of you. Now kiss me like you're Luke and I'm your sister.
Now that's a good one.
That is a good one.
Kiss me like you're Luke and I'm your sister. Oh, that wow. That should be a Hallmark card.
That really should be. I could see that for Sweetest Day.
Or for Halloween.
Chewie, get us out of here!
All right, that's going to wrap things up for us here this week. Huge thanks to our competitors. And congratulations to our champion, Blake. It was a tough-fought victory for him as he scrapped and scraped against FJ DeSanto, a lifelong Star Wars fan and a great guy. Both really great sports. Also, thanks to Kevin Liell for doing such a great job hosting the trivia, picking the questions. Great stuff. All right, if you want more of this type of entertainment, you can get it at Patreon. More Rebel Force Radio coming to your ears. Patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. Or go over to the Rebel Force Radio website, rebelforceradio.com, and click on the Patreon button. And there you will find weekly full show video. That's right. You could have watched the big Duel of the Fates between Blake and FJ, in addition to listening to it. That's available if you're an all-access member or above. You can also find exclusive podcasts in addition to the Rebel Force Radio podcast, in addition to the after shows that we do when there's a new Disney Plus series airing. You can find even more Rebel Force Radio podcasts that you can't find anywhere else, and that's only available on Patreon. So check it out, please. RebelForceRadio.com. Click on the Patreon banner. Also, we're on the socials. Check us out on Facebook, on Instagram, and now active on our social channels. We just started with posting over there on...
What's it called? Oh, I have a list. Look, Swank. Let me make this simple for you. I made a list.
Okay.
I made a list of all the different things. You're thinking of, tell me if you see it on this list.
Threads.
Yeah, that's it.
Threads.
You find us Patreon, YouTube, Facebook, Threads, Instagram, Twitter, and the RFR website. This is my checklist of all the places I have to post the show on Fridays. This is my list. I need a list.
There it is. Threads. Well, I was just really happy that we started getting the word out over there on Threads. So follow us at Rebel Force Radio and the official website, rebelforceradio.com, of course. And the best way you can support us here, in addition to becoming a Patreon, is to do what you're doing right now, which is listening to the show, watching the show, and telling your friends, the Star Wars fans in your life, about the Rebel Force Radio podcast. Please spread the word. If your podcatcher of choice allows you to do so, we love to have you subscribe. That way you get each and every show delivered straight to your mobile device or however you listen to podcasts. In addition, you usually can leave a review. We'd love to have those reviews. Just one rule, please.
Make them good.
All right, that's going to do it. We'll see you next time for Rebel Force Radio. I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.
I was going to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.